I don't think my sound was actually sharing all this time, was it? It was? Oh Lord, you would think I'm a pro at this point. Welcome everyone. All righty. Dan, I threw in a chat. What on earth are you? Are you camping? Like what is going on there? Camping
I
outside in
I am
Alaska?
sitting I am sitting poolside at my cousin's house in Florida. So,
Go off.
but I'm also working. I'm looking for some properties out here, some multifamily properties. So, trying to find my value add.
There
So,
you go.
you got anything in Florida you want me to look at? I'm here. I'll go do a drive through.
There you go. I got instantaneous boots on the ground right there. Oh, Florida, the insurance, yada yada yada. Okay. No hate to all those who are in Florida. Welcome everyone. Let's start. Thank you for coming. This is Asset Management Mondays with Bibi and Iffy. I have a couple of announcements to run through. Um, if you are new on here, this is your first time. Welcome, welcome. Let me try and get to share my screen and hope it doesn't seize on me. All right, you know what? I won't put it in presentation mode. How's that? So this is the asset management series on the Multifamily Freedom Chasers platform. We host this every other Monday. The schedule's kind of been thrown off a little bit, but for a good cause. And so today we will be talking about leveraging due diligence. You know, what's the link? Due diligence and asset management, and how do we leverage that to be more effective asset managers? So for those who are not familiar with the Multifamily Freedom Chasers community, this is an online ecosystem that was put together by a couple of young gentlemen who are determined, as we are, in showing 9-to-5ers and those who aren't 9-to-5ers as well, that financial freedom is attainable through apartment building investing. And so there is a series of programming that is offered through this platform. This one is asset management. It's run by Bibi and I. She's in Dallas, I'm in Massachusetts. We're both moms, and we are reachable via email or social media. And that's it over there, and I'll throw it in the chat. The Freedom Chasers communities also you can also connect with our, leaders and other members through WhatsApp. We do have our Facebook group. All these Zoom meetings are eventually going to be, stored on YouTube where you can access for free. That's where they're archived. I believe it also goes to Spotify as well. But if you had a quick question, you want to share when, you want to be part of, discussion that happens outside of these Zooms, feel free to, join the WhatsApp group chat, and that is the QR code over there. All right. I can also share the link in the chat a little bit later. Okay. Now, fun stuff for those who know the power of networking. So this isn't sponsored by us, obviously, but there's a great event that's coming up. It's the 2024 Dealmaker Live that's hosted by the Michael Blanc community, by Michael Blanc himself. He has a slew of speakers, great people. It's happening in April, so next month. He actually is coming on the Freedom Chasers Activation Zoom next week, Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So you can connect with him there, ask questions, proximity is key, it's power, etc. We do have a discount code. Don't know how long this code is going to be good for, but it'll give you 10%. It's DML 24AF Chasers for 10%. And you would go to the dealmakerliveevent.com to sign up, and then that's where you'll place the code for the 10% discount. All right. Let me stop sharing. You ready to go, Bibi? I think you're muted though. Did I mute you?
Can you
Sometimes
hear
I
me
put
now?
you in jail.
Can you hear
Just
me now?
yeah, I can hear you now. Wait, speak again. I want to make sure there's no echo.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. All right. So let me go back to the slides. Just want to make sure you were all set there. All right. So today we'll be examining the power of due diligence. So let me ask you, let me admit these people into the room. Hey, Bibi, why is due diligence important to your success as an owner-operator of multifamily assets? What's this all about? Why is it key? Why is it crucial? Why can't we skip this step? Who should do this? Why can't the underwriter do this? Is it the sponsor that does this? Who does this? When is this done?
If you've asked me too many questions,
I know, and your rule is one question only. I know.
yes, no problem. I got you. I got you. So, hello everyone. The reason why we've decided to answer or to discuss this topic is because of what has been happening recently. So let me give you guys an update of what has been happening. So for the past 7 or 8 months, we've been looking for new deals to put under contract, to close on, and to invite some of you to partner with us on board. We've been going through the due diligence phases, and we've not been able to cross over from the due diligence phase as it is. So due to so many reasons, and this is one of the reasons why we decided that it's important that we bring this topic to people so that they are aware of the deals that they invest in or the deals that they decide to invest in. Deciding to do a deal after going through the due diligence and finding out that things are not what it is very emotional, and it takes a lot of discipline for you to take a step backward to say, no, I can't do this. Because one, you have some attachment in it. A lot of efforts have been put into it. Also, money has been spent. The typical amount you spend for due diligence ranges from $2,000 to $50,000, depending on the size and what you need to do on your due diligence. So it's a lot of money. There is no single due diligence I've done that I've not spent money. The last one we did, that was the least I've spent. Others has been a lot of thousands of dollars. So it calls for a lot of emotions, a lot of discipline for you to say, I will decide not to waste money and save future losses now. It takes a lot of courage for you to do that. So how does this relate to multifamily asset management? Is because, like we always say on our program, we always tell you that multifamily asset management starts from the beginning. If everything is done wrongly from the beginning, then everything just folds up at the end. You will not get that expected result. So for example, imagine you have a property that has issue of citations, litigations, structural issues, molds, a lot of liabilities on it, and you carry on those properties, it will be very difficult for you to perform. So that is why it's very crucial for any asset manager to be able to do this job at the beginning before carrying on that. So that is why we are discussing this. So to answer your question, why is this important? Because it can save you a lot of millions of dollars. Secondly, nobody wants to lose their investors' money. These people have some of them have handed over their life savings to you. You want to ensure that that money is safe and they get it back with returns and, if possible, no tax liabilities. So that is the aim of what we are doing, and it starts with this. So in this, why do we need to do this as a owner operator, or if you're a GP or even an LP? It's important that you understand the due diligence process. You ask questions. Did you do this? Did you do that? So that you know if your money is safe. I invested on a deal years back with someone, a friend, on a 176 unit, and the due diligence was poorly done. It had structural issues, a lot of compliance issues with the government, and Right now, I think we're going to lose our equity on that deal. So it's important that you go through this process and all that. So that is for that. So let's dive
All right.
into. Okay,
Gotcha.
go ahead.
So where would we start, right? Because you wouldn't start by marching off to the property, the asset.
No, no.
Where do we start?
Okay, so typically I start the due diligence even before I sign a PSA. I create that room in my LOI. Some owners will not allow it, but I try to squeeze it in. How do I go about it? What I do in my LOI, I ask for some documents to be sent to me before we sign the LOI, or some access to be granted to me before I go to the property. This is important for us because we need to start making some decisions even before we sign the PSA. The good thing is that I've had owners that have been very cooperative and they've given me access to most of the documents, if not all, and access to the property even before signing the PSA. But the thing is, the access is sort of limited. You don't have access to the entire unit. So that's how we start. To answer your question, Ife, you start at the beginning of requesting for some due diligence items and also requesting for a timing to enter the property. So these things are basically stated in your LOI, also in your PSA, that this and this and this, you need them to be able to undergo your due diligence. The standard for due diligence mostly is 30 days. So you have 30 days to do a lot of things. And what are the things you are doing during those 30 days? Number one, you are doing your financial assessment. What is financial assessment? Ify will tell you about this shortly. The financial assessment is a part that's to do with all the finances of the property. You need to know the financial standing of the property to tell if what the owner said at the time you gave your LOI is really true. So there are different materials for you to request from the owners for you to verify the numbers. The other one is risk mitigation. Risk mitigation is for you to these are as an operator, these are things that you need to take cognizance of in-depthly for you to know if you have risk involved. Things like the property structure. The structure of the property is very important. The environmental report on this is very, very important. And also some insurance title documents are also important for this. The other item is, I'm going to break it down shortly. I'm just giving you a summary of it. The other item is understanding the market condition. This is very important. This happened to us on one of the deals we took on early last year. That was 2022. We went on that LOI, and while we're doing the LOI, the market was early 2023. That was last year. The market was cooling off. So our projections before the LOI was not what it was in the due diligence. So we had to walk away, meaning that if we had succeeded in going ahead, we won't have been able to achieve our required goal. So understanding your market condition, this has to do with the market trends, the market rents, the survey of the market, and your competitions. You need to also check those things. The next one is legal and regulatory compliance. This is very, very, very crucial this is very, very crucial to your due diligence because it has a lot to do with your title, anything that's to do with legal, regulatory documents, permits, inspections, insurance policies, zoning and land use. These are very, very important items that you need for it. Then asset quality assessment. This is where the property tour comes in. When you walk into the property, you get to see assess the property itself, the quality of the property, not just the quality of the property, the amenities, if there are any amenities on the property. This is when you get to do that to be able to assess, does it have a lot of deferred maintenance? Do I have the budget to cover for it and all that? So these are the items I look for when these are the reasons why we need to do due diligence. If you're able to cover this to at least 95%, then you can now decide whether to go on a deal or not.
Okay. So for financial assessment, we'd be asking the seller to provide us with these and more. Okay.
Yes. So the seller, you'll be asking the seller to provide you with the rent roll and the T12. Why is that important? Because we've seen cases whereby sellers manipulate rent rolls and T12. We've seen it a lot of times it has happened. So it's important that you ask them, because most times, because you are under contract, they are kind of obligated to give, not kind of, they're obligated to give you the right document, but sometimes they still do not give you the right document. So you go further by asking for their Schedule E. The Schedule E is like their tax, the tax returns on that property and all that. So in that way, you'll be able to know if the property, what exactly is the property doing. So the bank statement will tell you the in and outflow of cash and expenses of the account. This one will give you a broader view of what their profit and loss is. So bank statement is very, very important, but I've seen a lot of owners push back on it, but we always push and insist that you need to give it to us. Insurance loss runs. We also want to know if the owner has incurred some liabilities with the insurance company, because most times if that happens, it will affect the next buyer in buying the property, and your insurance might go up because it has some claims already on the insurance. So it's important you ask. And normally your insurance broker or your insurance company will ask you to request for at least 3 to 5 years loss runs. Then invoices and receipts. This is important for you to verify all the expenses on the profit and loss. So you check all these items on your profit and loss to know, okay, is it really true? Is the pest control really that amount? Are they really paying this amount for the landscaping? Are they paying this for the electrical? So most times for the invoices, I look out for the utility bills, because those are heavy amounts. I also look out for the tax statements and the insurance statements and declaration. I always want to know what the premium is, what exactly they are paying right now, because the tendency for all these expenses to go up is high rather than going low. So if they are paying, let's say $1,000, I will estimate that they are paying about 3%. They will be paying about 3%, 2 to 3% above that in the next year, all case being equal. This is for the financial.
Okay, so I have a question. So you asked for all of these. If the seller pushes back, which of these are absolutely crucial and which can you do without?
Absolutely crucial is the rent roll and the T12. I really cannot do without any of them, but if worst case comes to that, I'll ask for the rent roll and T12. Then I'll also ask for the invoices and receipts. And not just that, I'll ask for the leases. Those things will kind of give me an idea of what is going on. But really, I would have loved to have the bank statement. That will help a lot to clarify if they're really lying or they are not being sincere with their reports.
Awesome. Okay. I know I had another question. I think there was one we were looking at, and the asset had a recent fire, right?
Oh, yes. So, yeah, so recently we went under contract for, or we were trying to go under contract for a deal in Texas. I will not mention the area, but recently tried to do that. But what happened in that deal was that the two deals, so one of it was in Texas, the other one was in PA. It's in PA. So the Texas deal, we realized that the owner told us that the deal was actually 30, let's say, the owner added an additional 10 units without permits, without going through the paperwork, nothing. He just built it and was willing to hand it over to us. So it was during the PSA, when we were trying to sign the PSA, we we were asking questions. We asked him to give us the as-built survey. And that was when he had to come up front with us that as he cannot provide the as-built survey. And we were like, why can't you provide the as-built survey? He said, because I've made some major alterations on this property. And that was a signal. So we're like, okay, did you go through the regular process? He said, no. So, and for a state like Texas, the city comes to inspect your property every year. So it must be up to code. Your permits must be up to standard, everything. So imagine if we've taken that, that would have been a major liability on us. So that was a no-no, and we pulled out from it. Now, the second one, we went under, we're trying to go under contracts for, let's say, 3 million on that deal. But when we asked for the items, he provided very few items, but he provided the T12, the rent-roll, and the invoices and receipts. So with that, we were able to verify that the expenses was actually 90,000 above what he said it was. So invariably, what he gave us was like 176,000. And when we were doing that, we found out that it was about 260 or 270, about 90,000 difference. And that's the result of that was a decrease of 1 million. So it meant that if we had not done the due diligence, we would have overpaid on that property by an additional 1 million. So based on the fact that we were able to discover that the property was worth less than 1 million. So we saved, due diligence helped us to save $1 million, and he gave us the platform to renegotiate the deal, which we're still currently on. We're still negotiating it. Then the second thing that the due diligence helped us was for, we realized some CapEx items that we asked the owner to give us some credit on. So some things you can do during your due diligence, you can request for credits, but not that you carry all your liabilities or everything and you give to the seller to provide. No, depending on what your business plan is. Like if you're doing a value add, you necessarily don't have to give him 100% of all your repairs to do. But all the major things, like if it is a roof item or a boiler or something that is very heavy, you can decide to transfer that cost to him by requesting for credit, which we did. We've done that several times on our deals. We've demanded for credit on our deals, and we've always gotten them. So on this particular one, that is what happened. So moving to the next, risk mitigation. One of the reasons why we do due diligence is for risk mitigation. Risk mitigation, things like environmental report. Environmental report is usually done on multifamily. You don't see this done in single family, but multifamily is important. The bank most times requests for environmental report. So you can request from the owner to give you the previous one so that you know exactly what it was at that time. And you can also conduct a new one. Sometimes, depending on the age of the environmental report, your lender might accept it or decide to conduct a new one. But if you are conducting a new one and you have access to the old one, it just gives you an idea of if there were already environmental issues on the property and all that. So that is very, very important. Then as built survey, remember, I just made mention of it on the last example I just gave. As built survey, very important. You need to know what exactly the property was like at the time or at its initial stage. Was any alteration made? Has anything significant changed? This might become a liability to you, so you need to ask for that. Then owner's title insurance binder. This one helps for to know if there are liens and all that on the property. It's important that you ask for those documents. All notes, trust deeds, and other document relating to title, to liens and debt against the subject. You want to also know if it's the owner that owns this property. We recently closed on a deal that was last year, and the owner, the owner's name was not the one on the deed. Apparently it was his father's name, and they didn't do a proper job of really transferring it. So that was a major issue. And the city was telling us if we don't rectify it, that means we did not buy the property. Imagine you closing a property after 3 months and finding out that your name is not with the city, you don't have your LLC registered with the city and all that, due to what the previous owners, error and all that. But the good thing was that the thing was rectified by the previous owner. We had a relationship with the previous owner, so everything was rectified, even with the escrow company, and we moved on with it. But this is very important for you to check all this. Property and title insurance commitments, very important for you to check. So that is for risk mitigation. The next one is understanding the market condition. This is very crucial in the sense that you need to know your local market trends and condition. Things are really changing pretty fast. Some of you that are in the Texas market or in the Dallas market, you guys are noticing that the rent is cooling off in some areas. So for the fact that let's say it took you some time, because sometimes to even get an LOI accepted can take you like 2 to 3 months. Right now, it's what we are saying. Before they put it on a best and final, before you go through the entire process, months have gone and all that. So things might have changed within that period. So you need to also check your local market and to really do the real job, because it's possible that you did a surface level market survey at the time at which you gave out the LOI, because you always want to be fast with sending out your LOI. Now the due diligence for you to now do the real job, to be sure that those projections that you said you were going to get, you can achieve it. Remember, like I said, if those projections are wrong, it's going to affect the management of this property. Your asset management operations will be affected if you did not do your market trends and conditions survey or your rent and sales comparable very well. So the next one is rent and sales comparable. Rent and sales comparable is very important because it has a lot to do with your remember, your rent is, your projections has a lot to do with your rent. We are projecting that if I do this, if I renovate one unit, I can raise it by another $50 or another $100 or another $200. You need to be sure that those projections that you said that you said you're going to achieve can really be achieved. And your sales comparables, you also want to be sure that you're buying the property at the right market price. That means you're not buying above what your comparable sales people are buying it, because that determines also your capex. Imagine if your market is at, let's say, 6% cap rate. I say capex, sorry, cap rate. Imagine if the market is at 6% cap rate and you're buying yours at 4%. The significant, for those of you that don't know cap rate is very important. It shows, it helps to show the value of your property. So the lower the cap rate, the higher the value of your property. The higher the cap rate, the lower the value of your property. So let's imagine the market is low, meaning that everybody is buying their property at 6%, which is relatively low. If they're buying it at that and you decide to go and buy yours at 4% cap rate, then you have an issue at your exit. So that already is an issue at exit. So you've already made that mistake at the beginning. And when you're trying to exit, you're at 4%. Then where do you want to go back? Where do you want to shrink your cap rate to? So when others are from 6, they might be at the time of exit, their exit might be at 5, but you are at 4. Because you're at 4, you bought it wrong in the first instance. You'll be finding it difficult to compress your cap rate at that point. So it's important that you verify that at that time. Your rents, know the rent, because like I said, your projections, you need to know your rent escalations. What is the trend of the market? I remember when I was underwriting in 2022 and 2023, and I was looking at market trends. I intentionally skipped the trend in 2022. The reason was because 2022 trend was really pretty abnormal. It was not a trend that I knew was sustainable, because every rent was going higher than normal. Rents that were 900 were going to about 1,400. We're going to 1,000, 1,300. That is, we're seeing rent increases above 15% increase, which is not normal and not sustainable. So what I did was I went backwards, previous years before that, to see the actual market trend at that time, to be able to tell that, okay, my market trend should look like this. So demand and supply dynamic study, you need to know the demand in that area and the supply for you to project, okay, because we have few multifamily properties in this place, and we have more people that requires it, that means I can increase rent based on that, because the lower the demand, and if you have a lower demand and you have more supply, tendencies that you can increase your rent is high. But when you have great supply of multifamily and you have low demand for it, that means you might even be giving concessions to your tenants, to people to come and fill up your property. So these are the studies you need to do in your market to be sure that you are really understanding the market conditions of your market.
Do you remember when with the PA1 you went there multiple times and had to take the team, and what was happening in the market wasn't what was reflected on CoStar. So I just wanted
Correct.
to, point out to folks, like, CoStar is a great place, it's a great source and etc., but it's not always updated. So
Perfect. You said the right thing. CoStar is a good resource, but the problem with it is that it's not on the go, it's not live. So sometimes you need to do some footwork and to ask more questions to maybe the local authorities in that area.
yeah.
You need to do, we always do that in our deals. We always call the city or the county to know exactly what the growth is going to look like or what is happening in that local market. So go beyond CoStar and do your research. Legal and regulatory compliance. This is the bread and butter of it. This one can throw you off. It's very compulsory. You can't allow any of this slide at all because they are very crucial to your property. Title companies, sometimes we leave all these items, the legal and the regulatory compliance, to the title companies to do, but really they do not owe us the entire obligations to verify all this, although they can assist us in doing a title search, checking records and disclosure requirements. But if you need to do the in-depth one, you might need to involve your other team members to help do the research to find out exactly what is going on with the property. Like I said, one of the properties I invested as a limited partner has compliance issues a lot, and they can't even rectify it, so they have to sell.
Bibi, let me ask you something.
Yes.
Remember the one you walked recently that you suspect has structural or foundation issues?
Yes. So
Okay.
yes, you're very correct. Recently, I did a video somewhere, and the property has structural issues, and you wouldn't know. Nobody would tell you. The broker didn't tell me. Nobody told me, but it took me to make some findings, some research to find out that it really has some structural issues. So imagine if we took that on and we did not check or verify, then on the get-go, we have a liability right there.
Mm-hmm.
And all that. So these are very crucial things you need to check out for. The local building department, you can call the city and find out some things yourself. And these people are very responsive, at least in my state. And in PA, I know they are very responsive. It won't take you a few minutes, or you drive down there and make those findings yourself. Lease agreement. So let me talk really about the lease agreement. This is where the property tour comes in. When I mean property tour, you go into all the units. So when you are doing your due diligence, one of the reasons why it's advisable you do a tour around the entire unit is, one, you're checking for your CapEx and the items you need to sort out. Especially if you're doing a value add, you need to know the items or the units that needs to be renovated, or the type of renovations you need to do. Not just that, you also need to verify the square foot. Remember, the rent, most times, the rent is fixed on square foot, like is rent per square foot. So any square foot can drastically reduce the pricing on your property. So let's say the owner has communicated that the size of the room is 600. And during your walkthrough, you guys measured it and you found out that it's 500, you've lost 100. So let's say that property is 120 and everything it was said to be 600. That means you've lost 100 times 120. That's a lot of money you've lost right there. So you are verifying the size of the unit. You are not just verifying the size of the unit, you are also checking the plumbing and the electrical units. Plumbing is a major issue. So and the electrical. So it's important that you check out on this. We recently worked on another unit and we found out that water was coming out from the wall. That was a plumbing issue. What kind of plumbing did they do on the wall and all that? So these are things you need to find out. One of the easiest way for you to know the plumbing that was done on the property is through the water heater. You can see the connection through the water heater. You can check from there to verify that. But typically what I normally do is involve my property manager and third-party vendors to take off that stress from the team, from the GP team, not just taking off the stress. Besides, they are professionals. They know these things better than we do. So you need to involve them in all these items to help you verify, especially the units, especially the property itself and the market. You need to involve them. This thing is not free. You pay them for it. There's money that comes with it. So that's why I said doing the due diligence comes with a cost, but it's a lower cost compared to what you will lose in the future if you do not do these things. Title documents, you need to verify what exactly, who owns it, are there any liens on it, and all that. If it's an HOA, look through the HOA documents. Many people don't go through the HOA documents if you are buying a condominium. It's important you go through it. There are many, many items there that you might want to push back on or things that you might want to run away from. So check the HOA if you're buying a condominium type of multifamily. Building permits and inspection reports, go to the city, make your research. Insurance policy, know exactly what their insurance is covering, what kind of, not just, remember we have liability insurance, we also have the property insurance. So you need to know what exactly the property insurance is covering. That will help you take some decision. Zoning and land use documents. We've seen people, so many people converting office spaces, or we are hearing people trying to convert office spaces to residential. You need to know. You need to find out if it has the code to do that, or if you can even convert it to residential code. So zoning and also the zone, is that zone, can they allow that residential property stay on that zone? So these are things you need to understand. And it's possible that the previous owner you're buying for did all the conversion, converted it from an hotel to a residential. You came over and you took it up without doing your verification. This would be an issue if you did not do your zoning and land use documents. One day you see the city coming and giving you, it might take years, but it's going to happen. They will cite you, and that will be a lot of issues. Like we bought a property in 2000, and we didn't know that we had, the property was actually a warehouse, but we bought it as a commercial space for a church. But the city did not come to us until this property was bought in 1998. Yes, but the city did not come to us until 2018. So it can take time for them to, especially if somebody reports to them. But it took us years to know that our property was actually converted from a warehouse to another space, and we bought it and took up the liability. We couldn't conform to, because the city asked us to convert it back. We had to sell. We had to sell the property. So these are things you want to avoid and all that. So the last but not the least, asset quality assessment. Like I said, these are basically involving like third parties to help you do your property inspections. I use my property management company to do the property inspections. They come along with a contractor as well. So in that way, it's comprehensive, and they give me a detailed report on each of the units, each of the property, everything and all that. You can also use a licensed property inspector It's just that it's pretty much more expensive, you know, so I normally use a property manager. Then for civil engineering consultant, because at the period where the property manager is doing the inspection, if you have a good property manager and a construction specialist on site, they can tell you if this building has a structural issue. If it does, they will now refer you to a civil engineer to be able to tell if it really has civil structural issues. So involving the experts is very, very important. Appraiser, I tend to beg my loan broker to start the process of getting an appraiser earlier on before my 30 days expires, because I always want to know, have an idea of if the property even appraised. So we start the process earlier on doing the due diligence, so that before the 30 days, at least we'll get the report and we'll know, okay, fine, it's appraised at least. Property manager, you need to vet the contract at that time to know if they are not hidden issues. All these things are done through the due diligence. Environmental consultant, you need to engage an environmental person to do your environmental report. If you have an environmental issue on a property, this might cost you a lot. It's in short, you don't want to go through that. Then my financial analyst, typically I use my property manager. What they do here is they do a lease audit. So they take all the leases and start verifying it from the who are the people staying in the units, what occupation are they? They'll do a background check on them to see who they are and all that. What type of income do they get and all that? Because you want to be sure they can pay. You want to be sure of the quality of tenants that the previous owner have on their property. On one of the auditing we're doing, we found out that we had a pedo fight in the midst of the tenant. We had to request that the landlord evicts that person from that property before we took over. So these are things you really want to find out, but you need the support of these people. And the last one is general contractor. You get them involved with your property manager. And here we go. So with this, if you're able to do all this, if you're able to do all this in your due diligence process, you'll be able to determine, is it a go, a nay, or a no? I mean, a yeah or a no, or a nay. You'll be able to determine that at that point.
So I wanted to point out something. Joel is here, the community member from Florida, and he talked about mold. Well, before we talk about molds, because we recently saw mold, right? You did due diligence and we saw mold. That last step where you bring in these third party people, for those who are listening, is this where the money is being spent? Are we paying for all of this?
Oh, yes, you are paying. Okay. On the average, for the third party people, I spend between 10 to 15 on them. And that is very small.
Is that 1,000?
1,000, yes. And if you decide not to go on with it, it's gone. That money is gone, like gone. But if you look at losing 15,000 compared to losing 13 million, or losing your entire deal, or losing your entire equity, I think I'd rather lose $15,000 than losing $5 million.
And for those who are trying to still figure out their, I guess, avatar, their role in multifamily, if you have funds, this is where you provide risk capital. That's part of the deal.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's risk capital. The risk capital is that money, if you don't move forward with it, you've lost it and all that. So that's why it's called risk capital.
Okay. So we find molds, then what? Or like Joe said, lead up asbestos. So we found mold.
Yes.
So now what?
So for the mold, we decided to ask the seller to treat it, to remediate the entire place. We will not be taking up the property with mold. And even after he gives us a report that it's been conducted, we'll still do our own inspection to be sure that it meets up to standard. And whatever it is that's causing the mold itself, because we noticed what was causing the mold, the place is pretty closed. It's an enclosed place without any ventilation, no ventilation at all. So we also requested that he create some form of ventilation in that place and all that. Somebody said something about asbestos. Yes, those are things that they need to disclose to you. Doing your due diligence. If even lead paint, lead-based painting, they need to, especially properties that were built from 1970s and upwards. They need to disclose that to you. Lead-based painting, asbestos and all that. Those things need to be disclosed, and you need to find out, do your own due diligence on them too as well.
Okay. Let's see. Throw your questions in the chat. We're about to, I guess, that's close to the end of, the due diligence phase. So if this was confusing or enlightening or overwhelming, scary, share your thoughts. This is why you need a team. I did ask Joel how large his team is when he goes into inspect multifamily assets, because he said he finds it easier to inspect compared to I think it was residential. But yeah, no, throw your questions in the chat. And while we're waiting for you guys to do that, for those who joined later on, I did share earlier the let's see, the code for Dealmaker Live. All right, and it's in the chat. If you need it, I can toss that in again. It's happening next month. And then for asset management purposes for next week, and again, for those who are new, when we say next week, we don't mean next calendar week, because next week, Michael Blanc is coming Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So come back and tune in. But the following week after that, Bibi and I will be going over achieving infinite returns through efficient operational management. So would love to see you there. If you have any questions, please let us know about what we spoke about. Not ignoring you. Oof, geez, I want to say your name. I'm gonna go with Umesh, okay? About the deck. It's just something I don't know that we want to keep doing each time. But if you're finding it hard to keep up with the videos, let me know. But it should be easy-ish to follow once you watch on YouTube or you listen again on Spotify. Bibi and I are in the Pennsylvania and Texas markets. We look at 50 to 200 units a pop, class B and C. Ironically, we have a class A. We'd love to work with as many of you that are on your journey. We also are on our financial freedom journey. This is our Calendly. Don't book it if you don't have something to ask, and don't book it if you're not going to show up. But we'd love to get to know you guys more. Okay. Any questions? Yes, no, maybe.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Please, for any of you doing your due diligence and the seller is not willing to provide you with any due diligence items, then you might need to do extra work, job on it. Don't allow anything slide, because it's possible that there are lots going on that property, or you walk away. Because it cannot tell you it doesn't have the lease agreement, it doesn't have some basic things and all that. If it's not giving them to you, and you know you cannot do the findings yourself, or you don't have the technical skills, or you don't have the property manager or whoever to assist you, please take a walk, because you need those things, yeah, to keep going.
Joel, did you put your information in the chat? You're asking people to reach out to you. If you did that, disregard what I'm saying, but if you didn't, fling it in there. There we go. Joel the inspector. And then hi Caesar. you're in Austin, we are in DFW, you're new to multifamily, you're looking to find a great deal, awesome. If you're looking for a deal first and you're new, you look for a team first. Okay, and Joe shared his number as well. It's in the chat. Amazing. If no one has any other question, I will bid you all good night.
Yes. Thank you.
So are you okay, sorry, one quick question, are you working on any deals at this point, or?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
So are you working on any deals at this point, or?
Oh, okay. It's been
Yeah.
because of our standard and requirements. There are lots of deals out there, a lot, in short, too many for concern, but most of them are not panning out. And the ones that we want, we don't get them because the competition is high on it. So we've been working on a lot of deals as we speak, but it's been as difficult, like very hard to get a good deal right now. Yeah, but they're
We're
out
still
there.
working under we're still under, our LOI was still accepted for the.
Yes,
Okay.
we've gotten to best and finals on some of our offers, but they always push back with the number. And something we try not to do is give more money for more than the value of the property. So some people might ignore it and just say, I'll go ahead and buy it. Anyways, $100,000 will not kill the deal. That might not be true. You need to check with your underwriting if the additional $100,000 that the broker or the owner is asking for, what is the effect on it? Or can I increase my other income to make to help cover up for the additional 100,000 I'm giving to the seller. So these are things you need to ask. Don't just accept offers, or if they are pushing the goalpost, because that's what we are seeing happening. They're pushing the goalpost from A to B. If they are pushing you don't have to necessarily move with them as well. So sometimes you need to just be firm.
Yeah. I mean, lot of people are like falling to the assumable loan which hardly left for 3 or 4 years, but by the time you're out, you have no way to exit.
No, it depends. Okay, we discussed something about as a strategy. There's nothing wrong with doing your assumable loan, but just as the way you're assuming it, you also need to ensure that your exit, you are taking cognizance of some important things like your exit your cap rate at exit, your interest rate at exit. Those things are very important, and your DSCR at exit. Because if you're not projecting, yes, you're assuming they're loan, they have low interest. At exit, what will your new interest look like? Is it going to be profitable for you? So these are things we discussed in exit strategy. You can go to YouTube and look for when we discuss exit strategy and how assumable loan might not be the best choice every time for your deal.
Got it. Yeah.
Thank you. Those are good questions and comments.
Yep. So thank you all for your time, and
One problem, the violin.
we'll see you.
Sorry, it's my outro music.
To do what you do, you've got to be a world-class violinist.
Thank you, guys.
The problem is with you. You need to be in a group. You need to sing a...
There were times when it sounded to me like a bunch of rats being strangled. But you're not good enough